Thank you for choosing Dunkin'. How can I help you?
Good morning. Do you have a couple of sesame bagels back there?
Do we have what? I'm sorry?
Couple sesame bagels?
We do.
Can I get 2 ham and cheese bagels toasted?
Okay, 2 ham and cheese with the sesame bagels.
Yes.
Okay. Would you like any hash browns with it?
No.
Okay. All right. If there's something else, that'll be $7.54. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is that mine? All right, thank you. Yeah, you too. See ya. Yeah, thank you. But they totally got this fucked up with the rocket scientists we got here.
Hey everybody, it's Jimmy Puppet.
Hey everybody, it's Bobby Puppet.
Hey, it's Jay Puppet.
On today's show, Jim went and got the most awesome guest, Zainab Johnson, the comedian.
We decided we're going to build a boy band, because that's easy. Bobby told a story about Wizzo, Cookie, and Bozo partying with some hippies.
Don't say any potty words, because my mom is listening.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello, and welcome to Live Nude Puppets.
Live Nude Puppets are on the air.
Beep, beep.
That was good with the beeps.
You like that?
And I'm good with the peeps.
I like it when you put peeps in the microwave. It is the Easter special, right? We're doing the Easter episode?
You mean you put your friends in the microwave?
Yeah, the little peeps.
Oh.
The little marshmallow things.
Those are also the same as friends.
Yeah. You know, I don't have any friends, so I just take marshmallow peeps and put them all around my house. When people come over, I just tell them, these are my peeps.
I put peeps in a microwave, and it does get ginormous.
That's fun. And then you let the dog eat it?
I never did that.
Shit, yeah.
It's real hot, though, when it comes out.
Oh, yeah. You stick your hand in there, you'll get third-degree burns.
Socks will eat everything.
That would be a good boy band song.
Socks will eat everything?
Yep.
Or I melt my peeps.
Both.
I blew up my peep.
My peeps are big. I have big peeps.
I believe I need some penicillin. My peeps are quite enlarged.
Doctor, is this a problem? My peeps are huge. I think we can safely invest some time and money into building a boy band. What do you think, guys? It should take about $50 and about 15 minutes worth of time.
But first we all have to gain 200 pounds and become Jewish.
Are you talking about us becoming a boy band, Jay, or are you talking about finding a boy band?
All right, look. Back in the day, when you had like Motley Crue and real bands that actually played their own instruments and stuff.
Real music.
These people knew each other from high school or friend networks and stuff, and they really did come up in the garage. Such as Slayer, Metallica, any of these other really big bands. They had the unity that you cannot be reproduced. Unless you're a music mogul and want to build a boy band. And then you can just hire people and do tryouts and manufacture something in a studio. You just look for polished douchebags and put them up there and make them sing. None of them play instruments. They're hardly talented. That should be easy.
But we need somebody to write the songs and play the music.
Our manager.
Nobody plays music in those things. It's all computer generated.
Our agent writes music.
Yeah, that's true.
And we can force them, not force them, but the deal is.
Yes, we can force them, the pussies. Sing the song, bitch. You're my music bitch. Sing.
You can't lead a horse to water.
But you can beat his ass until he gets there.
I think we should be the boy band, though.
Who's your favorite clown?
The way I grew up with a bunch of hippies, and who those hippies were related to, kind of added some color to my childhood. And basically what happened was I grew up with, about the time my mom got divorced, she started hanging out over at my aunt's house. And there's a lot of partying back in 1970, whatever. A lot of partying going on.
A lot of sweaty, hairy people.
And some of the people on a Friday or Saturday night. I remember Planet of the Apes TV show playing in the front room. All the younger adults were sitting in the front room, rolling joints out of a shoe box, passing them down. But in the dining room was Marshall Brodeen, Bob Bell, and Billy Brown. Cookie, Wizzo, and Bozo from the Chicago show. And those dudes were hardcore partiers. And then there's probably one or two other people at the dining room table, too.
Hold on, let me interject here. For anyone that doesn't know, these guys were big deal in Chicago. Like, huge
the waiting
deal.
list was like 11 years to get.
Yeah, like when you had your kid, you would put in a notice to order tickets for Bozo. And when your kid was like 11,
Just when he was done with Bozo, he got tickets to go see Bozo.
Right. That was just about it. Except for the one asshole parent that I grew up with, that every year she put in a thing for tickets. So her kids got to go 5 fucking times.
Yeah, but they were like 16, 17,
Little asshole
18.
needs to practice on the Bozo buckets anyway.
Mom, I'm 18. I don't want everybody in school to see me on Bozo buckets again.
Now, we've been doing this every year. And you just get your jacket on and I'm calling into school and telling them you're going to miss school because you're going to the Bozo show, mister.
No, it was a big deal. You could easily call in sick, or you could just call in the Bozo Circus, and everything was fine. They're like, oh, really cool. Good luck. Have fun.
Yeah, that was another option in Chicago. You could call in sick or you can call in Bozo Circus. And then they're like, yeah. Ironically, I didn't go to Bozo Circus till I was like 13. But when I was we were at the house one particular Friday or Saturday night. We're running through the dining room, and as we run through, when the old guys, being Marshall Brodeen and Bob Bell and Billy Brown, run out of beer, they ask us to go get another beer. And if we get another old style beer for them, then we're their beer buddy. But if we refuse, then we're Rugrats. And so that's what we did, was we ran beer errands. I was like the beer boy for Cookie and Bozo and Wizzo on that one particular Friday night.
Did they talk to you in their clown voices?
He told me up and down he was Cookie the Clown. I'm like, dude, Cookie the Clown is orange hair and he's totally bald on top. And he has a long tie, yellow tie, and he's got an orange face. You're not Cookie the Clown, you know. And he couldn't convince me in a million years that he was Cookie.
And Rob was 23 at the time.
This was last month.
No, I was 5. My doctor, Dr. Patel, she says she doesn't want to see me anymore. She said in the last 11 months, I've been there for 11 rectal exams and 11 prostate exams. She says she's not going to treat a hypochondriac. I said, Doc, that's not it. I come here because you're $25 cheaper than a hooker. I'm surprised that didn't cross her mind when I called her Dr. Sweet Tits and asked her to try it with 2 fingers.
How do you hide money from a hippie?
Oh.
Put it under the soap.
Soap.
You know what soap is, right?
Yeah, just kidding.
He's insinuating hippies are dirty.
Oh, yeah, they are. They were. The ones at the Dead Show were really dirty.
What does that smell? It smells like and patchouli oil.
Oh, it's my perfume. I made it myself.
That's great. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Go back to your tent.
I went to Steve Ray Vaughan's last show, and
I did too.
Did you really go? I remember
Yeah.
seeing I remember seeing the news report on TV that, you know, for the crash, but that was it.
I was so bummed. He was I saw him about 5 times.
Rob and I went to the cemetery and saw his his headstone. It's got like guitar picks all over it and stuff. People put all kinds of trinkety things on it.
So did Dimebag Darrell. He had a bunch
Yeah.
of roaches, and he had everything.
Yeah, they were like bottles of Jack Daniels already drank. It's like people would get drunk and hang out there and then leave, leave their shit behind.
Yeah, and then they leave their shit on his, like it's a gift. Like, here's half a joint. You're not going to get much out of it, Dimebag. If there's any chubby Star Wars nerdy chicks, I'll take DC, Marvel fans.
You'll get a free live nude puppet shirt and nothing more.
You'll leave with a free live nude puppet shirt.
And a lot of shame.
Skyrocket, yeah, you'll be very ashamed.
And a tear in your eye.
Skyrockets in flight.
Your shoes in your hand, you'll be crying and running. But you'll have a t-shirt.
Yeah, it'll haunt you for years.
Dancers with us.
I married a woman from China, and on her honeymoon, her vagina broke. and then it exploded and started on fire. But then
I got a hold of Zainab Johnson.
Zainab
And-
Johnson.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's awesome, dude.
and she actually agreed to
Wasn't
do an
she
interview.
on Arsenio? Isn't she?
She was on Arsenio. She
Is
did.
she a writer on that?
Yeah, she did like features.
You know what? I think she opened for Louis C.K.
She did, and she also opened for Russell Peters at Madison Square Garden in front of 15,000 people.
Nice.
Oh, that was Russell Peters?
Yeah, she's a big deal. She was really cool.
That's awesome.
When you got people like that having you open up for them, they're just pulling you up to their level, saying, okay, you're good enough to be with us now.
I was fortunate enough to get Zainab Johnson to agree to do an interview with me. And she also agreed to give me a MP3 file so that I wouldn't have a phone connection. It would be clearer. And when I got her file, it had some reverb in it. I decided to have a little fun with it, with her approval. This is what I came up with. So enjoy the interview with Zainab Johnson. Good afternoon, everybody. Today on the show, I have the amazing Zainab Johnson. I saw her. She was shopping at the grocery store, and I kidnapped her, and I have her. Well, I should actually check on her before we go into the interview, so hold on a sec. Hello. Hey, Zainab, here's the microphone. We're going to start in a few minutes. I'm going to play a cut from your album. Here is a bucket. It puts the lotion on its skin, okay?
Thank you, guys.
All right. I will throw down a rope when the interview's over so I can get the heck out and you can get out of there. Thanks so much. You are really a trooper.
I really appreciate it.
If I look at like how the room is placed, I could tell like who was punctual. You know, like who has low self-esteem. Like I could tell. Like I'm actually surprised at it's like 4 black people. I appreciate you. In the front, like y'all got here on, you know. You got here on time, which is a good thing because that's our shit. Every group of people got a stereotype. Our shit is late. Like we out, it's something with the time. Like, and everybody in this room has been late before, but we own that shit. Like we fucking own. And I was trying to figure out like when did it happen? Like when did we turn like fashionably late into like that's just what they do? I feel like it was a competition like years ago. Like somebody showed up late, somebody else watched. Like oh. And then like progressively, every 15 minutes turned into an hour, turned into 2 hours. Then finally some dude was like, you know what? I'm gonna show up tomorrow. I own it though. I own it. I own it. Like I don't have no problem with you know that thing about us being late. I have no problem with it because like every group of people has their stereotype, you know. But I was figuring like if I'm gonna come up here and talk about us being late, I gotta talk about white people's shit. It's just like I'm equal opportunist. That's all I'm saying. And I used to think for the white people I used to think y'all shit was good credit. But it's not. It's like you date enough broke white guys, you realize, oh, like I hate when people say, oh, once you go white, you get a great credit score. Like, no, you fucking don't. I've dated like some of the brokest white guys. Like I dated this guy, Evan Rosenberg, white and Jewish. How is he broke? Like so broke I had to co-sign a car for him. Right? We didn't get it, but still the fact. We didn't get it. But the fact that he asked me made me feel like I was doing better than him. That's all I'm saying. I figured out what your shit is, though. Figured out what white people's shit is. You guys seek danger. You do. You fucking hear a noise, you investigate. You skydive. You go to war. Like, everybody goes to war, but white people like it. They're the only ones that'll have a full scholarship to Yale, and they're like, no, I'm a soldier. See, like, you catch a black guy that's in the armed forces, he's like, he's trying to escape child support. It's my last option. You guys love sharks? You love sharks? What is that? There's a whole week named after it. You love sharks. And I don't get it. I was trying to figure it out. I'm like, why do white people love sharks so much? Because I feel like you're running with a shark is the same as a black person's running with the cops. Somebody's got to die. Oh. I came here for comedy, not social consciousness. Shut up. I had to start showing up on time. You realize when you got a friend in your life, somebody in your life that shows up constantly late, you be like, oh, this don't feel good. Right? You be like, oh, this how I'm making people feel? Oh. I'm gonna change this. I had a friend, she's disrespectfully late. She like one of those girls you gotta trick into showing up on time. Seriously. I wanted her to come to my show. It started at 8 o'clock. I told her it started at 7:15. She still got there at 9:45. We got into an argument. I was like, you don't have integrity. You don't respect people's time. She's like, Zainab, you don't get it. The reason why I'm always late is because I need time to do my hair. I'm like, a hair joke. I've heard those before. Right? The thing is, her hair never looks good. So now every time she walks in late, I'm like, you could have been on time. You could have got here yesterday.
Hey everybody, it's Jimmy Bartlett with Live Nude Puppets Backstage. Today we are very fortunate to have with us one of the stars of Last Comic Standing. As I looked into the acting credits, I didn't realize that you had so many acting credits in your file. Everybody, Zainab Johnson.
Hey, you know what? I mean, I actually don't have that many acting credits in my file. At least I don't think I do. But you filled out a resume before, right? It's like, were you the cashier or were you the financial manager?
Absolutely. So I want to start out with, you come from a big family.
I do.
Yeah. Well, it's 13 kids. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
All with the same parents.
Yes.
Your mother, my God.
She's amazing.
So you're the middle child?
I am one of the middle children. I'm fifth from the top. So there's 4 above me and there's 8 under me. And for the most part, we're each about 2 years apart. But, you know, that changes a little bit in certain places. Wow.
I want to also ask you, where do you think that your comedy comes from? Like, have you always been naturally funny? Has it been something that you had to work on, or?
I think now, because I am actively pursuing, or I am a stand-up comic, I think it's something that I work on. But I don't remember growing up and just feeling funny. Like, I don't remember people saying, oh, you know, she's so funny. But now that people see me perform, who've known me from the past, they're always like, well, you always told funny stories. And to me, I guess I was just telling my stories.
Right.
You know, and now I recognize what funny in this world is and what funny is to me. So now I know what I'm doing. But I think most of my life I was just like talking and being me, and people were, I guess, enjoying it or at least engaged. And I just never knew that, that you may be able to do comedy.
Right. Well beyond May. I've watched all of the stuff that you have. I'm a huge fan of comedy, along with doing stand-up myself. I love watching other people, and women in particular, because I think it's more of a challenge for women, because right away when they walk on stage, and it's better now than it used to be, but there was always a stigma attached, you know?
Yeah.
Like women just aren't that funny. And they are. And there's lots and lots of funny women. Your podcast that you do with Marina Franklin is really great.
You know, thank you for listening. Friends Like Us is actually not my podcast, although I am on there often. It's Marina's podcast, Marina Franklin. She's amazing. And I love that podcast. And when you get a chance, when you get another chance, I do actually have my own podcast that I just recently started doing with a comedian friend of mine, Sydney. It's called Just Friends. And what's different about this podcast is it's relationship podcast. I feel like when I go on, I feel like a lot of podcasts are like pop culture, you know, what's in the news now? What are the hot topics? And we don't discuss that at all. We are like two single ass people giving out relationship advice.
Yeah, that's...
So...
All right, why don't you say the name of it again, just so that everybody will know?
It's called Just Friends. It's on iTunes. And
Just Friends.
Just Friends. And very easy way to remember it. I'm a woman. I'm a female comedian. Sydney Castillo is a male comedian, and we're friends and we hang out. And sometimes when we're out, someone will ask me if that's my, boyfriend, or someone may ask him if I'm his girlfriend. And our response is always the truth, which is we're just friends. And so that's kind of where the idea was birthed.
Nice. So when you did your first stand-up, where was it, and how did it go?
It was in a cafe. It was in a hookah lounge or cafe. I don't know what the proper terminology is, but it was a block away from my house. At the time, I was living in the Valley in California. I was living in the Studio City, North Hollywood area.
Right.
And it was a little small cafe. It was open mic. People were smoking hookah in the back. And I was working like a 9 to 5, which I hadn't done since college. And a friend of mine asked me to fill in for his assistant. He ran a production company that did a lot of work with stand-up comedians. And I did him a favor one day and just kind of temped as an assistant. And that one day turned into 6 months. And I think that on the day that I put in my resignation, I was like, okay, I got a couple of things that I want to talk about, and I don't want to talk about them to one particular person, Right. And I don't want someone personal in either of our lives. I just want an objective release,
Right.
And I just Googled, basically. I just looked at my, Google is amazing.
It is.
If you can't figure out how to do something in this day and age via Google, then you are doing something majorly wrong. So I Googled open mics in my area, and I found one that wasn't close. That was really close to my house. And that the beauty in it being close to my house was, if it went terribly wrong, I could just scurry on home and nobody would ever know. Right. I wouldn't have to get in a car and let the hurt marinate or anything. It would just be a quick, But I got there, and it was free, first come, first serve. You get 5 minutes, and I signed up, and I ended up going up, and people they were laughing. The small crowd that paid attention, they were laughing at the things that I said, laughing to the point where I had to stop. And I was like, "You guys are laughing," and they're like, "Yeah, keep going. You're funny." And I was just so shocked that I just got off the stage. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, I don't know if I can go up from here. So I'm just going to accept this and thank you guys. And so I got off the stage, and a friend of mine, a really close friend of mine at the time, she met me, at the open mic, and she's like, "How you feel?" And I was like, "I feel like I want to do it again." Yeah. And she was like, "Yeah, I'm telling you, Zainab, you're funny." So we go to another place in a different area, and I try out the same material that I did, or what I believe to be material. And I made some tweaks, when you... Yes, I don't know, it hit me really fast. Yeah, okay, this worked, but right after I did it, I realized how I could make it better.
Right.
And so I tried out. We went to another place the next day, and I tried out the same material with like little enhancements, and it got more laughter, And I was like, I think I'm gonna keep doing this, and I haven't stopped since. And that was, just over 5 years ago.
It becomes something that you can't imagine not doing. It's very addictive.
Yeah.
To do that. So when you write your material, what is your process? How do you go about it?
So when I first started, I would just jot down things that I thought were funny, or maybe in the middle of a conversation with me and a friend, they would say like, they would laugh so hard or say that's so funny. I would try and make like a mental note to elaborate on it later, like figure out what I'm really saying, how to present this to a stranger. And I noticed at the very beginning that when I did that, when I actually wrote things down, something kind of always got lost. Mm-hmm. So now my process is, and I learned this really early, I write down like a quick note, like let's say my mom makes me feel a certain way. Then I'll write down like mom voicemail. Right. And then I'll just go to like an open mic or some workable stage, and I will start talking about my mom, and I'll record it and I'll listen, and I'll find it as I'm talking. And then I'll do that over and over and over again. I'll listen back to my recordings and I'll recognize, okay, and then I'll kind of edit and structure from there.
Wow. So you pretty much go up raw with just a basic idea and then ad-lib everything and hone it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, and then things become...
That's great.
Sometimes you say something one time and you say it the perfect way.
Right.
And then sometimes you say something and it's like, like sometimes I have like the funniest stories, and I know how funny they could be. I just haven't figured out how to make them funny to a room full of people that don't know me or any of the characters in the story, right? And without making it like a 45-minute story.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah, that's my problem.
Yeah, that's like that's where the discipline comes in. How you turn something that takes somebody knowing your whole life to explain and condensing it into a 3 or 4 minute bit that somebody can still get clearly and leave them wanting more of whatever that story is, Right. I think that's mostly what my process is. But once I do that, and then I kind of listen to some of like my raw, just, working out material. Then from there, I then go back to the page. Like, okay, this is what I was saying. This is what my perspective, this is a clearer way to get here.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's a process. I am very much in the beginning stages of this thing called stand-up comedy. But I am enjoying the journey.
Yeah, I've been watching you pretty closely for the last year and a half. I actually found you because I was watching Marina. She's so great. She's really funny. I saw that you were friends with her, and so I started to look at you and watch your comedy. And man, I can't believe how far you've come in a year and a half. And you are working in these clubs with some really amazing comedians, some of these guys that have been around forever, writers like people like Rich Voss and Jim Norton and all of these people. It's got to be great to be able to get advice and sit and talk with those guys when you're at the Comedy Cellar or a place like that, right? I mean, haven't you gotten some invaluable help from some of those people?
Indirectly, yes. And I don't say that like nobody's helping me. So there have been like really key people. I love knowing Marina, another comedian who's been two comedians actually, very close friend of mine who've been instrumental in terms of, making sure that if there's an opportunity for me to have, that number one, I'm not missing it and I'm prepared for it. It's Keith Robinson. I'm not sure.
I do know him. He's been around forever, and he is really, really funny.
Yes, and a really close friend of mine, Will Sylvans, who I think a lot of people don't know, but he's incredibly talented and so helpful in my life. So I love that, and I'm so honored to be able to perform. Like I remember last year I had spent 3 months in New York, and in a week I had I had done maybe about 4 or 5 shows at the Cellar with Louis C.K. I went up right after Chris Rock. Experiences that some comics who work consistently never even have the opportunity to do.
Right.
I opened up at Madison Square Garden with Russell Peters. Like, I just had these amazing experiences. And not the theater Madison Square. I'm talking about like the 15,000.
Right, I know.
Arena,
yeah, I know Russell Peters well. Yeah. Yeah, wow.
But so the reason why I say I get advice from all those different comedians indirectly is I am not the type of comedian to like sit at a table with, let's say, a Jim Norton and say, so how do you do this? Or what's your process? Or Dave Attell. I don't, because you never want to intrude. Like, they're also there for a specific reason.
Yes,
you know? And so what I do is I sit and I engage in the conversation, sometimes as a participant, sometimes just as a listener. And I just take all the gems that they don't know that they're giving.
Right. Yes.
Do you know? Like, I just listen. And I absorb all that I can absorb while I'm in those environments. I don't know if a lot of comedians I hear, they say they don't watch, they try not to watch comedy for whatever reason. Like,
right, I've heard
I
that
don't want
too.
to steal somebody's joke, or I don't want to, think that an idea is mine, but really it's because I've heard it 3 weeks ago at a club and, whatever. But I learn a lot by watching.
Me too.
And I learn a lot from watching really good people, and I learn a lot by watching people who aren't so good. And I know that about myself, so I watch comedy a lot.
Wow, so do I. If you were to give somebody that was starting out, like today someone decided, I want to do comedy, what advice could you give to them that will save them some time wasting or whatever? Something, a little nugget of something valuable that you could give them.
I would probably say, try your best to be exactly how you are. And by that, I mean, I think a lot of comics, like we spend a lot of our like beginning years in comedy, or so I've heard, is finding your voice.
Right.
And so the quickest, however quick you find your voice is how fast whatever's going to happen for you is going to happen.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
So I would say, don't be afraid. Like, you can admire Louis C.K., you can admire Chris Rock, you can admire a Wanda Sykes or a Kevin Hart or a Sarah Silverman. You can admire them, but don't try and be them, because they're already winning at being them.
Right.
And so what the world doesn't know right now is you. Like, that's the best thing that you have. So try to be you close to 100% of the time. And other than that, get on stage.
Wow, that is really great advice. Thank you for that. Do you have any comedians that you feel inspire you in any way, or that you feel maybe you used as a catalyst for your stage act at all?
I am inspired by a lot of different comedians and just performance, period. Like, there's a certain part of Beyonce, as much as I don't want to be a singer, I would still want to have her confidence and fierceness on stage,
Right.
But my favorite comedian is Eddie Murphy. He has been since Raw, and probably will. I love a lot of people. Like, I think one of the people that I've liked, modern day, I guess, for a really long time is Bill Burr.
I like Bill too.
But as much as I love Bill Burr, I'm not trying to be Bill Burr on stage.
Right.
That just doesn't work for me. I don't even exert that much energy. No, I'm not trying to emulate anybody or be anybody, but any comedian that I see that's comfortable and that's funny, and I feel like whenever I'm watching them, I feel like I was just in Chris Rock's world, or I was just in so and so's world. I was just in Wanda Sykes' world, and it's over now. They have to leave, but I can't wait to be in their world again. Those are the types of comedians that inspire me.
Right.
And that that I want to be like. So not necessarily like their persona or even their content, but just kind of like they own it. And I always want the effect that they have on the audience. That is what I'm trying to achieve.
Yeah, exactly. Like Louis C.K. is a huge prime example of owning the stage. I mean, when he's out there, he's in charge. And you're right, you are amazing at it. I've seen you. There was some video I found on YouTube where you had a heckler, and he wasn't being nasty really, but he just wouldn't shut up. And you said something to him that was really simple, and it shut him down. I can't remember exactly, but you said something to the effect of, "You really thought you were going to add to the show, didn't you?"
Why?
And then he just shut him down.
That sounds so familiar to me, and I'm like, oh my God, what clip is that? You know, it's so interesting. People put up clips of you all the time, and you don't even know.
Right. Yeah,
like,
the
that's
internet.
so crazy about stand-up. I feel like sometimes I walk in a room, and you know, if I walk into a comedy club and somebody recognizes me, that's to be expected. Because I'm in the world of comedy. But if I am, like I got into an Uber months ago, and I said, "Hey, how are you?" And the guy had never turned around and looked at my face, and he was like, "I know that voice." And I was like, it made me want to stop speaking. And then he turned around and he was like, "Zainab." And I was like, I know you? I'm so sorry. And he was like, "I've seen you perform. I love your work." And that's just so crazy to me. And not like, "Oh, mama, I'm famous." Not like that. But just that when we get on stage, you know, we can't really a lot of times see the faces that see us.
Right.
You know, and they really engage with us and really remember us and take a piece of whatever we say away from away with them. And I don't know that. And I don't know until somebody contacts me on social media or somebody puts up a clip or you tell, you know?
Yeah.
So
I have a partner that does this show with me, Bobby. And when I was showing him your comedy, he was like, "Wow, she's in charge, but she's so subtle." And then all of a sudden slaps you in the face with one. And I said, "Yeah." And we watched just about every clip that we could find on YouTube that day. And so anyway, for his sake, I'm going to say this. Okay. Would you date a 6'4", a 6'4" white guy that looks like a fat Charlie Sheen without pre-AIDS?
Okay, so he's 6'4".
You don't really have to answer.
The part that got me is that you said a fat Charlie Sheen, right?
Yeah, he's a big guy.
Oh, okay, so he's 6'4" and big, like Patrice O'Neal big.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of like Patrice. Not quite as big, but I would like to thank you for coming on. Is there anything else that you would like to plug other than the Just Friends podcast?
I would actually. A lot of people don't know this, so you'll kind of get an exclusive besides Just Friends. I have a comedy album that I just did. It's called Model Citizen. It's on iTunes, and it's available now. And the reason why I've been a little bit low-key with it is because I have a cartoonist and an animator working on putting together some of the bits that are on the album that I would like to kind of release via YouTube.
Wow,
kind of,
that's great.
With it. So I've kind of been holding off on the heavy promotion, but if anyone is interested, I would love them to check out my album, which is called Model Citizen, and it is on on iTunes, and it's available now.
You heard it, Model Citizen.
Yes,
available now. Zainab Johnson, thank you so much. You are awesome.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
I'm going to come out and see you in one of these comedy clubs real soon.
Oh, please listen. I've been waiting to get, because you're in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
I've been trying to get to Chicago, so I was supposed to do like a competition a couple of years ago at Zanies, at one of the Zanies clubs, and I booked something, and so I couldn't make it out there, but I'm just waiting for a Chicago date.
All right, well, you let us know.
And so I definitely will.
I'll have fat Charlie Sheen ready for you.
Please do.